Here's a clip of what Lou Dibella had to say about Eddie Hearn and his basically all of his talking that he does, and pretty much how it's cost him in the long run. And now you have to wonder. Don't get me wrong, Eddie Hearn. I love him as a promoter, but he does put his foot in his mouth quite often. But let me go ahead and play this clip for you. Listen in, take your time out, like the video, subscribe, and tell me down below in the comments if you agree and what you think that Eddie Hearn should be doing differently.
Eddie's got his thing with DAZN. Honestly, there's a reason you said Ellerby and whatever. It's everyone with Eddie a little bit because Eddie's not a great winner and he's not a very easy person to do business with. He's he understands the in effect sort of monopoly. Well, it's not a monopoly, but the situation he has where if you want on to the DAZN platform, it flows through him. And he takes every advantage of it, and he's a bit of a bully, and not so easy to work with if you're on the other side of a street or not in his corporate sphere. So Eddie spent an entire week. He had other fights going on, shitting all over, worrying about Devin Haney. Well, sorry, if you and DAZN put up the right situation, Devin Haney would have stayed there. Devin Haney went to the better opportunity. Devin Haney didn't do a deal with me and Aaron because it was a worse deal for him. And now he's sitting there as undisputed champion. But how many? I don't sit there and talk about Golden Boy's business. I don't sit there and talk about Eddie's business or Aaron's business. I worry about my business and the fighters I'm working with. I worry about the sport in a more global sense.
And that's been pretty much my issue with Eddie Hearn since he came over to the States. I remember, covering Matchroom fights when they were just, solely on Sky Sports. This was even before the Zone, and Matchroom USA even started. I'm talking about before he even got his first American fighter. Now, coming over here to the States, it's already a very tough market. My bad. I already knew that coming over here was going to be tough for him because, he was pretty much like trying to poach and, pretty much take other promoters' fighters. Talking to them, offering them all this money and, fuck loyalty and everything like that. Yeah, at the beginning, I thought it was cool. I was like, all right, he really coming over here to try to shake things up. But all he did was alienate, other promoters, and networks from wanting to even have anything to do with him or, to work with him. Now, a lot of times, it looks like it may be, harmful to the sport. I do admit, because at the end of the day, the promoters need to focus on the fighters and making sure they get them the best deals and best outcomes. And also they do, whether they want to tell us or not, but they do, have an obligation to please the fans. But in Eddie Hearn's case, I do feel he came over here very heavy-handed, especially, trying to take away PBC fighters. And that PBC, Al Heyman in general, won't just ride with you or put his fighters into situations where they're in co-promotional deals or co-managerial, whatever the case may be. If he feels, him and his fighters are not going to come out, the right way. Now, it always doesn't work. All these promoters, even Lou Dibella right here, they all have their issues. The sport in general is just not a perfect sport, and it's frustrating. But I do feel that if Eddie Hearn just was a little bit quieter in what he tried to do, maybe he would have, and not talk so much. Maybe he would have, had better chances, to get things done with Showtime and PBC. Even though we've seen that Matchroom and Top Rank, Bob Arum's Top Rank, they do work together, but you do see that even Bob Arum gets pissed off, and it's heavily rumored that one of the reasons why Fury and Joshua didn't go through the first time is because of all the talking that Eddie Hearn was doing. And then the rumor was that Deontay Wilder was thinking, I'm going to take this step-aside agreement, but he went right out there after it. Here's Eddie Hearn's stable of fighters, or fighters that are currently fighting under his promotional banner. And when you think of this roster that he has, you would think like, bro, just worry about yourself, because sometimes it does get a little annoying, because it's like, listen, we want to see the good fights. And, Eddie Hearn's a grown-ass man. And as I said, I've been a big supporter for years. But sometimes this is like, he seems to mess it up for his fighters by, he will promote the shit out you. Don't get me wrong. You know, even from the entrances to everything, he will promote you. He will promote you. You can't take that away from him. As far as promoting and being out there and being a spokesperson for the fighters, he is bar none #1 right now. I mean, who else? You know, Al Heyman don't talk to people, and Al Heyman's representative is Tom Brown and Tim Smith. You know, Lou DiBella's out there, but you know, he's pretty much like a part-time promoter right now. Bob Arum, yeah, okay, Bob Arum top rank is going to be top rank, but he's not always out there like boots. He's not boots on the ground like Eddie Hearn is. Like, will do interviews and, you know, talk up his fighters and what he wants next for them. You can't doubt that. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just think like, yo, like, what are you doing, bro? You know? And especially when you think about, you know, what happened with the Devin Haney situation. He couldn't deliver for Devin Haney. And what you hear and what you do hear is you do hear that the fighters love Eddie Hearn. The ones that work with him, they love Eddie Hearn. You know, you've even had fighters from PBC that wanted to work with Eddie Hearn, but for whatever reasons they didn't. You know, they love Eddie Hearn. You can't take that away from him. But sometimes he puts his foot in his mouth. You see what I'm saying? And you know, like, for example, you know, he has a very, very bad reputation with PBC and Al Heyman. You know, and Steven Espinoza, those guys don't want to work with him. And if you haven't heard, you know, they got a whole diss track. Hold on, I'll pull it up for you. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe, and TstreeT Controversy with 5v360. I do admit, though, this is a masterpiece. It is a masterpiece. I do admit. I can't lie. Listen in. Here's the channel, by the way. Give him a subscribe and a like. This is a masterpiece.
Ain't no sunshine when Tank's gone.
I'll smack the shit out of him in front of everybody.
Only dark times for you.
I would just throw Haney's name in the hat. There is no fucking hat.
Ain't no sunshine when Tank's gone.
I don't play them type of games.
Leonard Ellaby, why you always talking about me?
Didn't you fucking learn your lesson from that with AJ?
Ain't no sunshine when Tank's gone.
I'll knock that motherfucker's hold out. Period.
Only dark times for you.
There ain't no hats to throw nothing in here. We're running a fucking business.
Ain't no sunshine when Tank's gone.
You fucking idiot.
Leonard Ellaby, why you always talking about me?
He had a budget of well over $1 billion.
I don't know what we're going to do about it.
You'll have to listen to the rest of it on your time. But yeah, man, you know, hopefully Eddie Hearn, you know, gets it together. But as it stands right now, boxing is so fractured. You know, you got the big players in, you know, PBC, Top Rank, and, you know, Matchroom, and, you know, the Zone, and, you know, Golden Boy is basically under that umbrella. You know, even though, yes, they are their own thing, but they're all on the Zone. And these people, they, you know, it's hard getting things done, especially with the fights that we want to see. For example, Tank is one of my favorite fighters. You know, and I hate to see what he's going through, because you can tell he wants to really be in the mix fighting these guys, but he is making money. PBC's throwing so much money at him. But at the end of the day, you know, yeah, you know, Floyd Mayweather said it best. You know, legacy don't pay the bills or something along those lines. I get all of that. But it's like, damn, bro. Like, you know, like, some fighters do want to have that legacy behind the money too. But it is what it is. I already set my personal opinion. I would love to see Tank go to Top Rank. I think that at this point in time in his career, you know, he should be able to make his own moves. But I really believe that, you know, Top Rank would, like, do him right, roll out the red carpet. But hey, that's just my personal opinion. You see what I'm saying? That's just my personal opinion. Take your time out. Like, ain't to be on ESPN? Ooh. Take your time out. Like the video, subscribe, and TstreeT Controversy with 5v360.